For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Long Shots, VSiN's premier golf betting podcast. Here's Matt Brown, Wes Reynolds, and Kelley Bydlon.
Long Shots Golf Betting Podcast here on the VSiN Podcast Network. Matt Brown, Kelley Bydlon, Wes Reynolds have some technical difficulties this week. Do not worry. His article is up over at VSiN.com, and his plays will be posted on VSiN.com/picks page. But sometimes when we have weather here in Las Vegas, it affects the internets, it affects the cable, it affects all the different things that are going on. And we ended up having a weather day here today, and Wes has an outage over there. And so Godspeed over there, Wes Reynolds. We'll miss you, certainly. So, Kelley, we are coming off of a tournament in which we said there were going to be people go low. That person happened to be the best golfer in the world, Scottie Scheffler, who shot 31 under through 4 rounds of golf. It was unbelievable. He is still every bit the dude that we thought he was. We kind of joked about this heading into the tournament where we go like, everyone's like, what's wrong with Scottie? And it's like, yeah, I know, all those damn top 5 finishes. I mean, God, he's so horrible.
So he's okay is what you're telling me, Matt? He's finally back?
Yeah.
He's back?
So here we are. He wins easily. It was the largest 54-hole lead in a PGA Tour tournament since 2011. So that lets you know how he was playing in this one. And, look, I do not feel bad at all about any of the bets that I made. I feel glad that I said, hey, I'm literally putting in outrights and check you later on this thing because of how it's going to play. I got a 0 ROI sum on it, Kelley, and I do not care because Scottie Scheffler went out, proved what we already knew. He's still one of the best golfers, if not the best golfer in the world, and he won by multiple strokes.
Yeah, just an L for me all around. It was only a few outrights and some top 5s. That was on purpose, but yes, not a moneymaker last week. Honestly, it was a tournament I ended up, I feel like, having some long conversations back and forth with on Twitter, and thanks for those for tweeting at us at Matt Brown M2, right? And at Kelley Bydlon. Nailed it. It's really sad how much I know off the top of my head Twitter handles at people at the VSiN Network. Anyways, I thought it was really interesting conversations I got back and forth just going about betting Scheffler in that event. And look, I get it. He's by far the best guy. If you want to go and do that's up to you. It's just not, I think something in a full field event like that, Matt, not surprised to see it happen. I think you got to be aware of what you're going up against. I just don't think at those kind of odds, it's even, I'm not regretting anything after.
I lied. I forgot. I had Scheffler first round leader.
You did have first round leader.
I lied. Never mind. I forgot. I had Scheffler first round leader. Never mind.
You just scared me.
So it wasn't. Yeah, that was great. It was 12-1, by the way.
Hey, you had a winning tournament probably, right?
Yeah. No, I did because I totally forgot about it. It was so long ago. I mean, it was Thursday, so it
feels like a year ago. It actually
it feels like forever ago.
NBA playoffs.
No, I had Scheffler first round leader because Rico Hoey, who I also had, went so low. The number gets out to 12-1 on Scottie Scheffler to be first round leader, and he had not hit a golf ball yet. And I'm like,
oh, nice. I didn't know that's why you had bet it. Okay.
Yeah. It was like I'm sitting there looking. I had Rico Hoey, so I had the dude. I was already in the clubhouse as the leader at 70-1, which would have been way better. But I look and it's like the best golfer in this tournament by a mile hasn't hit a golf ball yet, and because somebody's in at 8 under, he's out to 12-1 for first round leader. And I'm like, Kelley, that's what I'm telling myself. I'm like, I'm going to bet this, and then I'll just after it hits, I'm going to text it to Kelley later. And then sure enough, I did. And then Kelley responded with the always great was, if you have guy friends, you know how this works, whatever. And Kelly's just like, yeah, F you. Yeah, F you.
Well, you know what I did, and this is not going to be a very sharp betting conversation here, but because we talked a lot about the odds that Scheffler was at last week's pod, and we were really interested in it going up against 155 other golfers. That was really a conversation I was having back and forth with people on Twitter, right? Like it is clear cut, but you're talking about a 30% chance to win is basically what those odds are implying. If not, sometimes more at other places. It's just. It's okay. I'm okay losing on something like that. However, when I went to look at make first round leader bets and you're like, well, 12, like he was 11-1. I saw the Caesars, I think, in town. I was like, 11-1's not 3-1. Obviously the odds make sense, but you're like, well, for one round, I don't know. So I got close to betting and I ended up staying away. That's why I had the response I did. But good on you. I didn't know that's why you bet it. That actually makes a lot more sense. I knew you had Rico Hoey
if there's one person that's going to run down Rico Hoey, it's gonna be Scotty Scheffler. I mean, he's not hit a golf ball yet, and everybody's scoring on this course. So let me cover my ass here because I have Rico Hoey at 70-1, and that's going to feel terrible if Scotty goes out and shoots 10 under, which he did. So I feel glad that I covered my ass there on that one. I mean,
looking back on it, I feel like you, Wes, and I were all actually pretty well positioned after Thursday, and then none of my guys finished up there, and Scotty ran away with it. So by mid Friday afternoon, I mean, I'll be honest, that is the least amount of golf I've watched on a weekend all year. I think. I can't remember another weekend where I watched.
Well, because it was a foregone conclusion as to what was going to happen after two rounds.
Right. I mean, and that's
he was minus 1,600, and there was still 36 holes to play. He was minus 1,600. I mean, what do you do?
Look, it's credit to Scotty Scheffler for just embarrassing everybody, and the course and looking so good on it. But I don't know, Matt. After a few years on this course now, it's sad, man. The Byron Nelson's that's a big time golf tournament name, man. One that we actually attached to tournaments for such a long time. I think they're ready for another course change. To be honest, get me somewhere where it's at least. What do we see? What did we see? 25 under, 25 under, 23 under, 30 under. It's just wild what we've seen over the 4 or 5 years there. So I don't know. I'm ready for another course change. They need to pick somewhere that's a little bit more difficult than that. You don't need to take it away from Dallas. Love Dallas. I was born in Dallas. Let's go. Let's stick in the area. But we can find a better course than that.
I think the only problem is just with the way that the schedule plays out and where that falls on the schedule is do these guys really want to go and play a course that might grind on them before they get into this stretch right now where it really is, make it or break it. So I don't know. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't type situation there in that one.
But I think that's so we say that a lot. I always used to say that about the Honda, the Cognizant now, right? But I think the difference is what we've seen is the guys who live in Texas actually show up and play the damn events. All those guys that live right there in Florida, for whatever reason, still just skip the event. But all the Texas guys love to play the Texas events. Yeah, so I don't know. You're at least going to get Scheffler and Spieth and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll at the end of the day, these type of tournaments don't typically play well for me. That's why I don't fire at them as heavily. At least we were transparent about that last week on the podcast. I'm not going to go with this tournament very hard. It's not. It's really just not really my betting cup of tea. But maybe this week will be as we head to the Truist Championship at the Philadelphia Cricket Club. It is the oldest country club in North America. We've got a par 70.
Real?
70. Yes, it is. Wow, the oldest country club in North America. So
are they still playing cricket there? Did you come across that fact at all?
I mean, I would assume.
I didn't really.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume it's called the damn Cricket Club. So
I would hope so too, but I didn't really check in on that, to be honest.
I would assume that they do. Par 70, 7,119 yards. We only have 3 holes with water danger, but we do have 118 bunkers on this course. That is the most of any course that they will play this season on the PGA Tour. We got 3 to 4 inch fescue rough that they have grown up out there here at the Philadelphia Cricket Club. Very fast bent grass greens, and while the greens are not super crazy, the defense is going to be the subtle undulations and just how ridiculously hard and fast these greens are going to play. Of note, if you have had the opportunity to play the Philadelphia Cricket Club. They are rerouting this thing. They're going to start on hole 8 and end on hole 7. So what that does is make for an interesting finish, because the stretch there from 4 to 7 is really tough holes, and it's going to make it for at least a more interesting finish and so maybe some drama there in this one. 72 players, no cut, $20 million purse. Kelly, we've never seen this course before on tour. Is there anything that stood out to you as you were doing your research here for this one?
Yeah, I kind of smile there, because it is the most important thing we can say this podcast, right? We have not played this course before, so when we're going in blind to courses, that definitely matters. I think you need to take a look at some guys that play new courses well. There are some of those guys that jump out a little bit. I did look at some of that some of that information when it just comes to overall golfers approaching a course for the first time. I think that tends to lean to some of the younger guys too, Matt, that have just been bouncing around, college golf, Corn Ferry, onto the PGA Tour, have to get used to that stuff really quick. I think you could also make an argument that the vets it works better for, who are really used to their practice routine and getting to a course and scouting it out and figuring things out. So I always find that interesting when we do have a new course that we're going to approach. I think you nailed it for the most part as far as what we're looking at first. What's the biggest defense you're going to run into? Okay, the bunkers number is staggering. How much is that going to come into play? I think it's going to be a little bit of wait and see approach for us. The greens are really what I kind of latched on to first as well. I think good breakdown by you. It sounds like we're going to be dealing with some heavily tiered, heavily undulated greens that these guys are going to have a choice on some of these holes, whether to, attack the pin or put it in the middle of the green and play it a little bit safer and deal with it up there on the flat stick or with the flat stick. So I'm interested to see how they approach that. I am interested to see how I do think around the green, these bunkers are going to come into play. How much, I think, is what it's been a little tricky to figure out, but I think you need to include that in your handicapping. And then, Matt, I'll be honest, go short course. This was one I probably spent the most time diving into, just looking at some of the landing zones and stuff like that. And Rick Gaiman did a great breakdown on some of this stuff too. So shout out to Rick as always. But the distance ended up emphasizing a lot more than I thought I was going to, because it looks like there's going to be a lot of these fairway bunkers that some of the longer guys are going to be able to get past. Opens up a little bit more wider open landing areas for these guys on fairways that are already, we're looking at 32-yard average, so they're not tiny, but not huge. And if you can get past some of these fairway bunkers, they'll open up even a little bit more. So I really kind of seized on that. As always, it's a signature event. Approach play is going to be big. That's going to be important, and I think you need to factor in a lot of the around the green scrambling stuff that is probably going to come into play at some point.
That'll be that's actually going to be interesting, because I did not factor in distance. So that'll be I'm interested to see how our models spit things out. So of the par fours, hole 1 plays 365, 2 plays 373, hole 4 plays 427, 6 plays 447, 7 plays 435, and 9 plays 426. So that is all 6 par 4s on the front 9 that are shorter than 450 yards. Then we get to the back 9, where 10 plays at 449, 11 plays at 487, 12 plays at 424, 13 plays at 423, 17 plays at 498, and then 18 will play at 517. So 3 of the 6 on the back 9 are shorter than 450, meaning 9 of your 12 par 4s are going to be shorter than 450 yards. So that's why, to me, I didn't factor in distance really at all. I know there are 3 longer par 4s, and maybe that will come into play, and maybe that could be the difference in this tournament. But, for me, if you're talking, a 427 or a 447 or a 435 or a 426, and by the way, that is 4 consecutive holes that, or par 4 holes that they're going to play on the front 9, whether you're 330 or whether you're 310, it doesn't matter. I mean, so you're 330, you have 100 shot in, you're 310, you have 120 shot in. I mean, it doesn't matter to me, So I didn't factor in distance, so I mean that'll be interesting to see how our models differ when it comes.
Yeah, again,
to,
it's not a long course, like you said. Again, for me, it was more just about what some of the landing zones looked like on a lot of these holes and where the bunkering was in the fairway. So just trying to clear that a little bit. And also, once we get to the guys who we bet on, we talk about this a lot, right? We plug in. It's always a little interesting to me when you weigh something a little heavier like distance, and then a couple shorter guys pop up near the top of your model, and it's like, well, then the other stats they've been pretty overwhelming in. So, look, there are a couple of those guys on my card too. Again, we haven't seen it, so it's kind of a little bit of guess, right? A little bit of guess. What's
that's what I'm saying. Like your interpretation is just a little bit different than mine. That's why it's cool that we're doing this together. We don't talk before this to make sure that we don't have too much groupthink here on the podcast, and so
I think I think one of the other reasons that I ended up plugging that in was some of the reports I've seen. And you broke it down. You said it too. It sounds like maybe the greens are going to be pretty fast and tricky. So, like we always talk about, right? The further you can hit the damn ball, higher lofted wedge going into it, help control a little bit your accuracy going into those greens. That was another part of it for me. So, yeah, fairly heavy for me on the. Off the tee and some distance approach, and then, really those proximity buckets of wedge play for most of these guys that I'm going to be looking at.
Yeah, I guess to counterpoint that for me is the difference between 80 and 110. It doesn't matter.
It ain't
much, the difference really is when someone's got 130 in and someone's got 165 in. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the real difference. Or on these super long courses where it's someone's got 150 in when someone else has 180 in or 190 in or something like that. That's where it matters. Any of these dudes from 125 and in, honestly, the closer you get, sometimes it's going to create awkward shots, right?
That's true. Yeah. You get stuck in between clubs and stuff. Yeah.
Anybody that plays golf, you have a distance you hate, right? Well, for most of these dudes, it's going to fall in that where they can't have a full swing of some sort, right? Where they're chopping off wedges and things and stuff like that and whatever. And so might actually equal, but again, we're guessing right on this, for how this is going to play and how this is going to go. On the par fives.
What's your best guess on final score, winning score? How many under par?
I'm going to say mid-teens.
That's what I was going to say 15 under of just playing it. Because that's another one where I feel like I've seen mixed reports on how difficult or not difficult this rough's going to be to play out of, and how difficult the greens are going to be.
3 to 4 under a day for the winner seems fair.
I also think it can't be crazy because look, this is a signature event and it's the week before a major. We've seen a little bit of the emphasis recently to be, okay, let's try to make some of these tune-up events real tune-up events, right? And give them at least some major-like conditions to play through. So I don't think they're going to go crazy low, but I think we're past double digits.
Yeah. On the par fives, of course, only one on each side. So 2 par fives on this one. One is a 546-yarder that nearly everybody in the field is going to be able to reach in 2 strokes. And the other is hole 15. It kind of it begins that last little stretch that we were talking about. It's a 553-yarder. But if you watch this one, and Kelly, I know you saw it whenever you were looking at the different flyovers, there are 13 bunkers scattered throughout the fairway this one. So it's
a great hazard. That's what it's called.
Yeah. And so it is 13 different bunkers just scattered throughout the fairway here on this one. So while it's not an incredibly long par 5 at 553 yards, it is one that certainly is going to require some strategery from these people as they play this course. And maybe we'll get some reports as the practice rounds, reports start coming through and things like that as to how this thing's going to play. Any updates we get, you can find us over on the Twitter machine for that. The par threes, 4 of those, of course, hole 3 plays at 172. Hole 8 plays at 240. Hole 14 plays at 122. And then hole 16 plays at 215. So you have 1 normal length par 3, 1 real short par 3, and then 2 long par 3. So it is there's no bucket really to drop the par 3s into here, Kelly. You have one that's literally 122, one that's about 170 that you get that's pretty normal, and then one that's 215 and one that's 240.
Yeah. The one it's interesting you bring that up because I didn't really factor the par 3 distance stuff in at all. But I feel like I've dialed back on isolating for at least a punch into models the par 4s or par 5s of certain distances. But you hit on it. I did factor in the par 4 scoring from 400 to 450 yards. That checks off 7 of the 12 par 4s. Like you say, you're getting a lot that fall in that range. So that was something I did plug in the model this week.
Yeah, it is. It's actually going to get you I guess 7 if in the 2 other ones are just shorter than 400.
Right. They're shorter than 400.
And so it's just it's a very interesting layout. This did actually make the golf.com top 100 courses in the country list this year. So if you're lucky enough to be a member there, good on you. You play at a top 100 course every time you walk out there and play. So that's got to be pretty cool. But Kelly, it's a deal for me. We gave you the best breakdown of this as we can. We'll give you hypothesis as to how we think this is going to play. But again, I think it's, to stress what you just talked about earlier. We've never seen this in action. It is a course that it seems as if there are a couple of different ways that you can attack it. So it doesn't even look straightforward as to how to go about it even.
Yeah.
So what type of player we're speculating, what goes down, we're speculating, but I think that I feel like I have a good grasp on it, but we shall see when it is all said and done.
Matt sounds confident in a new course. I'm very not. So I'm really not heading into this. We probably should say, unless I missed you saying it off the top, but we're a little wacky with the schedule, right? We got PGA Championship next week that is being played at Quail Hollow. This tournament replacing the Wells Fargo Championship, Truist Championship, taking the naming rights, and we're going to this course for this year. This will be back at Quail Hollow next year. Still under the Truist banner, though, right, Matt? Just banks changing hands?
Well, the other thing here to note, as Kelly has the odds pulled up on the screen if you're watching this over on YouTube, no Scotty Scheffler this week. So Scotty decided to take the week off, and so going to be a real short shot is Rory McIlroy sitting. The best you can find out there in market is 4.5 to 1 right now on Rory McIlroy, about plus 450 on him, and then it drops all the way to about 14 to 1 for the next closest guy. And so,
if your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There's a few things at play here, Kelly, with this. 1, Rory's playing out of his mind right now. 2, there's no Scotty Scheffler. And 3, it's only a 72 person field. So when you combine all 3 of those, that's how you end up at Rory McIlroy at 4.5 to 1. And I can't say that I can't really say that I blame the odds makers for making him so incredibly short, but I sound like a broken record here every single week, whether we're talking Scotty or whether we're talking Rory for these tournaments where they play and the other one doesn't. I just can't get in the business of playing 4 to 1 dudes. I want to, and I think Rory is obviously the class of this field, but I can't play 4 to 1 guys.
Yeah. So I guess here's the question for you. Rory's been great. He's been the best golfer on tour in 2025. There's no question. But he's been the best golfer in the world so far in 2025. If I replace the name Rory McIlroy with Scotty Scheffler, would you be more likely to bet or less likely?
Probably more, because I think that Rory, what really, really separates Rory from everybody, like we just said, is his distance off the tee.
Yeah.
And so in a course where it doesn't accentuate that advantage as much, then probably Scotty over Rory, because again, it's just a different thing that, like, the thing that separates Scotty from everybody else is his iron. He's always 10 feet away from the hole. You know what I mean? And so on a course where we think you might be able to throw darts because you're likely having a ton of approaches that are going to be anywhere from 75 to 140 yards. Like, probably Scotty. You know?
Yeah, no, and it would be the same answer for me too. That's like no disrespect to Rory McIlroy, but basically everything you just said. And when Scotty Scheffler's coming into form right now, in a small field event where, yes, I think he can end up dominating, and I think it's just proven over the past few years. I think he has more of that ability than Rory McIlroy. Even though it might be speaking too soon. Maybe Rory's season goes into nutso zone like we've seen out of Scheffler the past couple years, and the wins continue. But yeah, I felt the same way. I mean, yes, he rated out the highest for me. I'm sure he did for you as well. Yeah. It was pretty significant. It probably is pretty representative in the odds gap from him down to Morikawa, Schauffele, basically those guys in that next tier. It was relatively easy for me to skip him this week, especially since he's on my short list next week. I think we're going to be looking at a PGA Championship where I think it's a fascinating major season. I don't want to distract us too much from this. We will have a special PGA Championship show next week, like we did for the Masters. I don't want to distract too much from this, but man, Matt, this is just like the Masters. It feels like a very short list of guys that I am really entertaining betting going into the PGA.
Yeah, it'll be super interesting with that one for sure. We found out today Dustin Johnson got a special exemption. Ricky Fowler gets a special exemption, so they will be part of that field as well. As far as the modeling for me, I'll go ahead and go because you tipped your hand a little bit on what you valued. So I'll go ahead and go with what I did, and then we can circle back around to what you did. I did play some off the tee on this one because off the tee doesn't factor in driving distance or what club they're using or anything like that, right? Like off the tee is just, hey, are you gaining strokes with whatever you decide to hit off the tee, and is that working for you? So
yeah, okay.
I put in off the tee. I put in around the green, given that while I think that a lot of these dudes will be throwing darts, it seems like if you miss, from what I'm reading, from what everybody who has played this course and giving some firsthand knowledge of, is if you do miss your spots, there are roll-offs and there are false fronts and there are different things like that and whatever. And so not necessarily that's going to be super penal for everybody. I just want somebody to get up and down, right? Move on the next hole. Don't bogey it, like whatever. So I did do some around the green stuff on a course in which I don't know how exactly it's going to play. Can't really go wrong with strokes gained tee to green. You know, I mean, how are you playing?
So I was going to stop you before with the off the tee because I thought that was a good breakdown. I'll stop you here. Of stats that you're going to plug in for basically a course you haven't seen before, 95+% of the time, I did tee to green. I did factor that in. Like, hey, who's just playing best tee to green? I need to know that. I thought you did good breakdown off the tee, same sort of thing for me. I factored that in. Approach is going to be important anywhere we play, so I factored that in. Greens and regulation, which I normally like. If I know the course pretty well and I know how to play, I'm usually not playing greens and regulation. I'm usually looking at other stats. For some you haven't really seen before, and we know that just finding these greens is going to be important. That was one for me. I guess I'd also probably throw in like bogey avoidance. If we know it's not a super easy course to play, I almost just always plug in bogey avoidance. So I wanted to bring that up because I think tee to green, if you're seeing me and you factor that in, there's a reason why.
Yeah, it's just easiest. It's just easiest for me, right? Like it's okay, who's hot right now, right? I mean, that's kind of like what I'm going with. And like to just to give you an example of the off the tee deal, like Rory is second in the model in strokes gained off the tee, and Corey Connors is third. So like, you know, they couldn't be more different, right? Like, so it's all how you go about attacking it and how you want to play it, which is why I kind of went with the off the tee stuff. Sand saves, considering there's more bunkers than we've ever seen on a course before. So did some sand saves. I did small percentages, but I just wanted it for, so it was visually comparative for me on here, but I did 75 to 100, 100 to 125, and 125 to 150, because again, I think the vast majority of approaches are going to fall in those buckets right there. And if anybody was good at all three, basically is kind of what I was looking for, right? Like it's like who's good at these little lopped off wedges, who's good at a full lob wedge, and then who's good at, you know, whatever. So like I was curious as to that.
Which does go back to your good explanation earlier of like it's a tricky range when you're looking that short, right? Because it is actually hard to find guys that are consistently good across all those ranges.
Well, remember 2 years ago, the reason we wouldn't bet Rory is because he couldn't hit a wedge close to the hole to save his life. Like, remember, like, I mean, everything about his game was fine other than that. But like, if you're constantly putting yourself in this like 100 to 150 range and you can't put it anywhere near the pin, like that's why he couldn't win. He couldn't do anything. Like, and he figured out his wedges, and so, whatever. But approach, since these can be mixed condition models, and I ran a model. We always do the shout outs. I did it over on Rick's site, Rick Gaiman's site. I also did it over on BetSperts. You can put in mixed conditions, so I can like say, I want to put last 24 rounds of this stat category, and then also the last 12 rounds of this stat category, blend those in there to see like, okay, whatever. So I did last 24 on approach, and then I did last 12 on approach as well. Kind of like who is really, really riding the hot irons coming in if we think that this could be one of those like, okay, attack these pin type deals. And then the old stat, I don't know if we played it here lately, Kelly, but I did opportunities gained.
Ooh, okay.
Because and opportunities plus, like a little bit of which is 15 feet it in and then 10 feet it in. Because, again, like these short approach distances, buddy, how often are you converting these things, right? How often are you getting the chances how often are you getting the chance to go and do this and maybe put up a small number on these holes? And so that's kind of how I did the model this week. That's the model over on Rick's side. And there's a couple of other stats that you can get between the different sites that whatever. And honestly, the only thing that I did differently over on the BetSpert site so more for a visual deal. I did a little bit of strokes gained putting on bent grass just to kind of see what was going on. But again, not enough to like sway the results of the model or anything, but more that I could look in and say like, oh, okay, this person's doing this, and this, and then the icing on the cake is this, that type of deal.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting note on opportunities gained because that is not really how I thought about it going in. It was kind of I actually think between the three of us, probably the stat I include more than anybody. But I guess the way that I looked at it with the green complexes possibly being so difficult and guys maybe having to aim away from flags and stuff like that, it was something that I ended up skipping. But no, I think you're right. I actually think you made a good point. If you are going to have some shorter approach shots in, then it's probably something you need to consider. So maybe that is something I'll factor in here a little bit before I finish up bets. As far as for me, I know I mentioned most of these already, but yeah, tee to green, off the tee, driving distance, I did factor that in. I don't want to say heavy, but fairly heavily because I did want to see who was out there, who jumped up the board because of that. Approach, greens and regulation, I shifted down my proximity ranges one bucket less. So I actually went from 50 to 125, 50 to 150 on here actually is what I did. So I kind of looked at all those different wedge ranges, and short iron ranges. The par fours, 400 to 450 I mentioned already. And then I did a blend of kind of like you talked about around the green, sand save, scrambling, all of that. I think you got to factor it in this week. I don't know. I think that's maybe the spot I feel like I know the least about going into this, Matt, is how important that's going to end up being. It might be way more important than I think it's going to be. We'll see. Did do bogey avoidance then as well, plugged that in, and then I did some 3-putt avoidance and some lag putting stats just because I do think these guys are going to get stuck on some different shelves of the green and have some long putts. So I think you want to look at that stuff, and I did do some strokes gained putting on bent as well.
I will say this, that typically, when I run models, I will do just a range for the last X amount of rounds that somebody has played. What I did this time, because I blended in so many of the stat categories that are from a range of last rounds played, I have one model that starts in the middle of February, right after the waste management. And then I did one model that starts at the beginning of March right before the API. And so basically I put in date ranges as opposed to last amount of rounds. And so what that also gives me, Kelly, is the reason why I did a date range as well. I wanted to see who's active and who's been active. And then, because some of the things is like when you put in last X amount of rounds.
Sure.
Some guys like just don't play very much or haven't played very much, given the fact that they were either injured or they were whatever, what it might be. And so then you start pulling on stats from way back and whatever. And like, I kind of on a course like this don't care. It sounds stupid to say I don't care, but like, I don't really care what you did last year at all. Like, I don't even care what you did basically at the beginning of the season, right? Like, I mean, like,
sure. We're at that point in the year.
Yeah, like, what are you doing kind of like right now, you know? Have you been active? Have you been out there? Have you been, you know, going at it? And so, again, that kind of also gives me the visualization of who's been playing, right? Because if I'm only going back to the beginning of March, so I can pull up this model right now, and, you know, so, for example, even though I did last 24 rounds on, you know, strokes gained approach, well, Morikawa's only played 18 rounds, right? Berger's played 20. Rory's only played 20 since the beginning of March and whatever. So, again, that's fine, and I'm not worried about those guys, but then you get to, like, Hideki, who's only played 12. So you know that, like, his sample size is, like, way smaller. And then you also see these dudes that aren't getting into some of these bigger tournaments. And so, like, your Eric Ben Royan, who just got in because of what he did this past week. He's only got 10, you know, measured strokes gain rounds over the course of that time frame, right? And so there's just all kinds of stuff here where I went with a date range that helps me also just factor where these dudes are at kind of close, like around like right now heading into this thing, like what's going on with them. So that's a long way of me saying, yeah, Rory's at the top of. No,
I like that. I just did the same thing. I just went. I actually didn't do the date range. I was doing round counts for most of mine. So that was interesting. I wanted to see where mine spat out. But,
yeah,
it's not going to push me off any of my guys because I see them all up there. But
yeah. It's So Rory is number one in 2 of the 3 models. Yes, he's not number one in every single one of the models. I will tell you who is number one in one of the other versions of the model because he's also one of my bets this week.
Wow, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, it is. It's wild. It blew me away.
I don't think the guy who finished most consistently second for me, I'm going to guess isn't for you, but I don't know that. Maybe it is.
Yeah, and so it's crazy. Like it is that it blew me away, and then you go and you dig in and you realize like, oh, that's why, because of what I factored in, and that's how he ended up to be number one in one of the models here with all of this. So I'll kick it over to you, Kelley Bydlon. What did your model spit out and what ended up making your betting card this week?
Well, for the most consistent number 2 guy from the different round ranges, date ranges that I looked at, that would be one Jordan Spieth, Matt Brown. One Jordan Spieth, who has really just been consistent everywhere, comes into this 6th in total driving over the last, I'm going to use last 16 rounds for this. I don't know why that's become like one of my favorite close ranges here, but last 16 rounds. Yeah, last 4 tournaments, exactly.
Yeah.
6th in total driving, 10th in distance. He's not really known as the longest guy, but okay, this is a smaller tournament, obviously keep that in mind.
Did you bet him?
I bet Jordan Spieth.
So I did not bet. That's the reason I asked. No, that's the reason I asked, because I did. I only had 4 outrights, and he's one of my 4 outrights.
Okay, good. This is also, let's get into the sick mind of a bettor like Kelley Bydlon, okay?
Yeah.
I was only going to bet I'm very glad you bet an outright on him because I will add it now. I bet a top 20 on him because, like, Jordan Spieth, it's been a while since he's won.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You know he ain't my favorite guy. But the only thing that's going to make me hate him more is if I got a top 20 bet on him and then he goes out and wins the damn thing. And I don't have any outright.
Kelley, he is 7th in one model. He is 4th in another model, and he is in the one that's like a little bit longer of a time frame. He is 6th. So he is 6th, 4th, and 7th in the 3 different models that I ran. I mean, like, this is stuff you can't deny whenever you go in and you look. And I'll go to the one in which he's 6th, and that's the one that I said like starts kind of like middle of February, right? So we're getting rid of January tournaments, like whatever. We're getting rid of the waste management. We're starting middle of February, and 11th off the tee, 9th strokes gained total. He is sitting there inside the top 25 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6 of all of those. 6th in total driving, if you wanted to go that direction. 9th in opportunities gained. 6th in opportunities plus gained. Like all kinds of stuff. He's just playing good golf right now.
He's just playing good golf. Up there in putting stats, up there in bogey avoidance. Now, if we're just going to talk statistically, one of his weakest areas or the weakest area for him this week, it'd be approach, right? I mean, that is everything he's done off the tee, kind of around the green, on the green has been really, really good. Just a little bit weaker on approach compared to the rest of the field. So something to keep in mind, just even if you guys haven't been keeping up with what he's done, 4th at the Byron Nelson, T18 at the RBC Heritage, T14 at the Masters, T12 at Valero. That's the last 4 times he's teed it up. So Jordan Spieth playing good golf right now.
If you want to go super recency bias, though, strokes gained approach last 12 rounds, 6th in this field.
Okay. All right. Good. That makes me feel even better.
Like last 3 tournaments that he's played, whatever, that'd be
Probably
about it. Last 12 rounds.
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 6th in this field. If you go back 24 round, 19th in this field. So, I mean, 24 rounds is a pretty decent sample. So,
There we go. We're talking it through. Jordan Spieth's going to be an outright ad for me then. I bet him in the top 20 market, but I will add him as an outright because I don't have any.
I only played 4 outrights, and he was one of the ones I put in. It was one of the things where I just couldn't ignore what I was seeing, right? I mean, and like you just kind of have to talk yourself out of the fact that he was bad for 3 years, and like we've seen this, right? Like we've seen these guys that have a bunch of talent that can do this whole like up and down, up and down, up and down thing. I mean, hell, I'll tell you another one of the guys on my card is Justin Thomas, and he's like the epitome of that, right? Like Justin Thomas.
Where's the app at, bro? I know Wes isn't here, but shit, man, it sounds like we're aligning with a lot.
Like this is Justin Thomas, right? Yeah, this is Justin Thomas. But you look at where he's at right now, he's friggin' honed in, man. And like, if we're not worried that much about, and again, we might be proven wrong, right? But if we're not worried that much about the occasional spray off the tee, because it's like, yeah, that's a problem, the occasional spray off the tee. But like, if we're not that worried about it, which again, we could be proven wrong because we're just guessing when it comes to this.
Real quick, where did we just last see him? We just saw him win on a short course where I think if he needs to this week, feels the need, he could maybe take the driver out of his hands on a few of these holes.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you want to hear? How about the weirdest thing that you'll basically ever hear?
Okay.
Last 16 rounds. And this is not.
I know exactly where you're going. He's
second in this field, strokes gained putting.
Okay, I did weighted strokes gained. He's first in mine.
Yeah.
Last 16, he's first.
Last 16 rounds, he is second in this field. Like, we were screaming a month and a half ago, like, I love him and I love the way he's playing, except he can't putt it in the ocean. And then something happened. Like, I don't know what happened.
I have the ability to show this stuff. Here you go. Like, look at all that green. Look at all that sweet, beautiful green.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Like, he has become, he said, what did he say? Like, he hung out, he asked Xander or something like that? Is that what it was? Like,
I forgot there was that little it was something like that.
It's something like he and Xander like hung out for like 3 hours, and Xander like told him some stuff about putting, and next thing you know, he's making making all these putts and shit. So
I mean, look at the rest of it, right? I mean, like, okay, the approach, it's what we expect. Maybe even I expect a little more out of Justin Thomas, to be honest. But the approach is solid. Look, around the greens, maybe just as surprising as the putter. And if we think that's going to be important here, he's killed it for the past 6 tournaments around the green.
And if he look,
he was my first click. By the way,
if you want to talk about wedge wizards, like this guy's a wedge wizard.
Yeah.
So if he finds himself with a wedge in his hand a bunch, he is going to give himself looks like that. There's no doubt about that. Like he is a wedge wizard. And so give me Justin Thomas as another outright for me.
Me too. Outright in top 5. You're covering with top 5, I'm assuming, right? I told you to get the app out, man. We're no West. We're matching up on everything. Yeah, I got JT out. He was my first bet. JT was my first bet.
Yeah,
I'm totally with you. I love him this week.
And the other thing about this is that, like, I like to play guys like him when they're hot, because we've seen Justin Thomas like get some sort of kink in his swing before, and then he's like bad for another 3 tournaments until he figures it out again and all that. So
and the putter's running hot right now, right?
Yeah. I like to play him while he's hot, and so I don't want to miss out here on what I think could be a really strong finish with him. But yeah, I mean, as always, guys, any of y'all that have been listening to this for a long time know I back up every outright with some sort of placement mark because we don't have each way betting here in Nevada. So all we can do is put in an outright and then back it up either with a top 5 or a top 10, depending on how long the guy is or whatever and stuff like that. And so that's kind of how we have to circumvent the fact that we have a limited betting market here, unfortunately, and you guys have the cool markets out there. All right, who else did you bet outright?
I only have one more. Would Matt like a guess at who the last outright is on Kelley Bydlon's betting card?
Is it a shorty? Is it a midi? Is it a longie? What is it?
It's a Kelley regular. It's a Kelley staple, a Kelley favorite.
Oh, okay.
If I'm betting Jordan Spieth, it means I have to also bet someone that I actually like.
Yeah, Daniel Berger, yeah.
No, I actually stayed away from Berger this week. Showed, no, and he did rate out high though, but Berger's been rating out high all season long.
Tell me then, who'd you go
Keegs.
with?
I'm on Keegs. Northeast Golf, that whole narrative.
I have a top 20. I have a top 20.
On Keegan? Okay.
Yeah. So I have a top 20.
I figured I'd just go boom or bust with him this week because the putting has been so awful that, we're going to need a spike putting week.
He is second worst in one of my models. Yeah, he's second.
Second in one of your models. Yeah. Okay, I like it. He did not rate out that high for me on any of them. But yeah, I mean, you're talking. We're just tee to green. Last 16 rounds, 4th in the field, tee to green, 9th in total driving. He's top 10 in approach play. The around the green play has been good for him recently. The putting's just been awful. It's what's been holding him back. Recent results, T18 at the RBC Heritage. Yeah, miscut at the Masters, 47th at Valero. But then he's got a bunch of top 20s finishes on the year. So I like Keegan this week. I took a shot on an outright. He's my long shot outright play this week. That's all I played him. So you went for the safer top 20 route.
Yeah, Keegan inside the top 8 in all 3 of the models that I ran. So yes, super high for me. Stuff I couldn't ignore. Plus 140, by the way, for a top 20 in a field that's only 72 golfers. Like you're getting plus money.
I found a 50 to 1 on him. That felt long in this.
Yeah, I mean plus 140 for a top 20 again in a 72 person field. I think is just unbelievable.
I have a couple other placements, but I can circle back to those. So 3 outrights for me: Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Keegan Bradley.
All right. So I did, in fact, play Daniel Berger.
Oh, okay.
My 3rd of the 4th here. I don't exactly know what the win equity is for him at this point, but all I can say is he's just green in so many of these categories that I like, and it's. The consistency is there. I want to think he's coming back around to a dude that can actually compete in these tournaments. But, I mean, Kelly, the only thing that he's read is sand saves. And, again, in an ideal world, you're not finding yourself in the bunker anyway. So, I mean, you're avoiding the bunkers. So, I guess I can swallow the fact that he's bad, at least over the last 24 rounds in sand saves. But everything else, I mean, he's green in everything else, including these little wedge bucket, 4th overall in this field, last 24 rounds, that 50 to 100 range. Again, 12th around the greens. There's just a lot for me to like here about Berger. And what do we say we hate about Berger? He's not as long as all these guys. Well, I didn't factor in driving distance. I'm not worried about it as much this week. I could end up being proven wrong, but I think he's right there with these guys on a course like this. I think it could really, really suit his game. So Did play Berger on the outright there.
Differences
40,
in
40-1 for Berger.
Okay, differences in models. Did one Sepp Straka also rate out high for you? Because he did not for me, but we're talking about the distance differences, right?
12th in one, 16th in the other, and 19th in the other. So not really.
Okay, not really. Okay.
Yeah,
just
so
figured
not
we'd
really.
hit all the guys that I feel like we've talked about every week this
and
week.
I can like easily point to why. Is because like, so Sepp, strokes gained around the green, bad, 63rd out of 72. Sand saves, 58th out of 72. Scrambling, 65th out of 72. Like, so I can see why he didn't, right? Like, there's these things where it's like, not only is he not good, he's like at the very bottom, of the field in those. So I will tell you, here it is, the grand reveal, my final outright, and is the person who did bump Rory McIlroy in one of my models.
Corey Connors.
Russell Henley.
Oh, yeah, okay. He was up there for me. You also, Matt, wouldn't bet Corey Connors.
I have a top 20 on Corey Connors.
Me too. That's actually my last bet. We'll finish up my card. I had a top 20 on Connors.
Plus 110 out there, by the way, for everybody on Corey Connors. So you're getting plus money on him as well.
Where'd you find that?
It is widely available out there.
Oh, okay, cool. Gotcha.
In one of the major sports books.
I got even money, so okay.
Yeah. One of the major sports books out there.
Okay, gotcha.
So I mean, we'll go to Connors. I'll go back to Henley. Connors, last 24 rounds, second tee to green. Last 24 rounds, first off the tee. Yeah, over Rory.
Dude's been just solid everywhere, man.
He's just solid everywhere. 16th around the green, fifth in that wedge bucket of 100 to 150, which I value, right? Which I think is going to be huge. His first scrambling last 24 rounds as well. I mean, like, just all kinds of stuff here. He's been playing awesome golf. And so you can even see when he putted like total ass, he still made the cut and, whatever. It's nothing to write home about T49, but it wasn't like it got him cut or anything or whatever. But outside of that, he's just been so incredibly consistent, playing so good. That's why I can't bet him outright, because when the putter struggles, it struggles bad for him. But the rest of his game is so incredibly good that I think we can scrape together a top 20. I mean, you can see 3rd, 6th, 8th, 18th, 8th. Like, I mean, he's just been a top 20 machine.
Yeah, he's got the results. The off the tee and the approach has been sick. I'm kind of chuckling just because you look at what he did. Yeah, he did struggle around the green and putting it at Heritage. This will be a big week, I think, for Connors when it comes to whether or not we end up playing him next week. Or I'll speak for myself, right? Like, he goes out there and it's, oh boy, the putter's not looking great, and around the green plays struggling all of a sudden. Then it's some of the old Corey Connors concerns that we've had in the past, and he's probably off my card. And if he keeps it up, if he keeps playing pretty well, I don't really. I mean, look at the results, man. Like that, like you just ran through there. That is a lot of top 10 finishes in the past couple months. Like, I'll probably be right back at him.
So I'll get back to the guy that, like I said, I mean, Russell Henley. You dig in, Kelly, and you look at these results, right? And it's like, okay, him getting cut at the Masters, yeah, of course, right? Like, the Masters doesn't fit him. Like, that's not his type of course. But then T8 at RBC, he's T5 at Pebble Beach, right? You look at the T6 at the Cognizant, he won the API. Like, there's just a lot of different courses that he can play well on. Augusta's just not going to be one of them, right? I mean, like, Augusta just isn't gonna really fit him, And so you go and you look everywhere else playing so incredibly well, and then you look at just how this guy plays. And actually, I'm taking this into account. Like, I mean, how this dude plays against tough fields. Like, he is really good against the very best out there. And you go into this model and you dig in and you start to realize, like, tee to green, last 24, 7th overall, last 12, 6th overall. And you're like, okay, well, that's pretty damn good. And you go in around the green, 4th overall, last 24 rounds. Oh, that wedge bucket I like from 50 to 100. He's 7th overall in that and 14th overall from 100 to 150. Oh, sand saves, 118 bunkers. He's 6th overall in the field last 24 rounds. I mean, it's just literally top 10 thing after top 10 thing after top 10 thing after top 10 thing. I had to play Russell Henley. I mean, it's just it felt weird. 31-1 on Russell Henley as an outright. But if a dude's number one over in the model and can back it up with the stats, then it's got to be a play for me.
So he did rate out pretty heavily for me as well. Even taking into account how much more I weighed distance than you, he was still a top 5-ish guy for me. So I can't knock it at all.
Last two plays for me, I have a top 5 and a top 10 on Xander. I think this is kind of the last tournament where we're not going to be taking Xander super seriously with all this. He's coming back around. He's back into form and just not quite getting the full respect. But Kelly, you can get a top 5 at plus 360 on Xander, a top 10 at plus 175 in a 72-person field. I keep reminding everybody. So we're talking top 5, top 10 on Xander Schauffele at these prices in a 72-person field at a course that we think might be at least somewhat gettable. I'm not going to call it easy, but at least somewhat gettable. This is more of a gut feel, obviously, because we don't have a lot of stuff to back it up here because he's only got a few starts. But I'm trying to buy in a little bit early here. I want to be early on Xander, so top 5 at plus 360, top 10 at plus 175.
Yeah, I think you're right, and there's a very good chance this is the last time we're not really talking a ton about Xander Schauffele. I think he's definitely a guy that could put himself into the mix for that conversation of guys that we're going to be playing for the PGA. Yeah, that top 10 price. Yeah, if you're looking at plus money in a 72-guy field, plus money on a top 10 for Xander Schauffele, you could convince me on that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this, Kelly, and it's just, only 6 starts so far in 2025 with him, but you kind of you go in and you see, all right, not really terrible at anything, barely losing on the categories where he is red, the stuff that he's green. Gained 2.82 at the Valspar, he T8'd at the Masters, kind of a quiet T8 at the Masters there.
Yep.
For Xander as well. RBCs inside the top 20. I think the injury stuff is kind of behind him at this point. I think he's starting to play and be more Xander-ish. Can he win in this field? Yeah. If he does, okay, I still cash a top 5. I still cash a top 10. I'm not willing to play him at this short of a price without seeing it first, but I do want to take advantage of what could be the upswing here on him. So top 5, top 10 for him. So to recap for me, top 20, Corey Connors, Keegan Bradley. Top 10, Xander. Top 5, Xander. Outrights on Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Russell Henley, and Daniel Berger.
Outrights for me, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Keegan Bradley, and then top 20s, Spieth and Connors.
Look at us. I guess we are going to be having a lot of rooting interest the same way whenever we this weekend. We're going to be doing there's going to be a lot of texting going on, I think.
Oh man, it's going to be Spieth. It's going to and no, it's not. I never get Spieth right. What am I talking about? I never bet the guy. Yeah, there's no way he's going to win this week. Probably dead last.
I mean,
no cut of that.
I hope he does. I hope he does. No, I can tell you who's going to be dead last. You already know.
Matthew Pavone. I haven't
Max
even looked.
Homa. Here, there's going to be three candidates for dead last. Max Homa, Nick Dunlap.
Oh no, Nick Dunlap for sure.
It's Nick Dunlap, Max Homa, and let's see, Bezadenhout maybe.
Yeah, he's really far down there.
He's
my bottom 5 are Homa, Bezadenhout, Highsmith, Taylor, and Dunlap.
Yeah.
I wonder if people care about that. Maybe we should read the bottom of our bottles every week too. Although usually it's much more interesting actually in these shorter field events like this than the big, larger field events.
Yeah, my model's not a fan of those guys. He's also not a fan of Rasmus Højgaard. My model hates Rasmus Højgaard.
I am. I don't know about you. I guess the other thing I'll say with new course, I don't really have a great feel for. I don't think I'm considering a single tournament matchup this week. Just playing the outrights and the placement markets we discussed.
Yeah, and the other thing, it just makes it takes some of your win equity away when it's a no cut event because your dude.
Good point.
Your dude could basically win you the bet already because the other guy would have gotten cut, and then next thing you know, he puts together 2 good rounds. Yeah. I mean, I know it could work the other way for you, but it's just to me, I want to win. If my handicap is right and my guy plays good and the other guy plays bad, I want to just win the bet after 36 holes. I don't
I was
want to
going
be
to
sweating.
say, I'm going to make up a number in my head, Matt, but it feels like lifetime 20% of my tournament matchup wins come after 36 holes. So yeah, it feels like it's high. Like I'm with you. I like to play them heavier where we have a cut for sure.
Yeah, I just want to win and then move on. The other guy got cut and like whatever, my handicap played out, and that's the way it works for me. Guys, as always, everything we do on this podcast absolutely free. We do appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. If you go in, if you subscribe, you rate, you review, helps us climb up the charts. Shout out to a couple of lists that came out in the last few weeks or whatever that did list this is one of the best golf betting podcasts out there. Do appreciate the support from that as well. We do our best here. We try to. I feel like we've been on it pretty good this year. So.
Hey man, we got a lot of W's under our belts. Are you kidding me? This year's already exponentially better than my year was last year. Let's go. Keep it going, man. A trash event last week just kind of interrupted some things. All right, we'll see you next week.
And as always, guys, VSiN.com, VSiN.com/subscribe. You can go in and become a VSiN Pro subscriber, running all kinds of specials over there for all that. And, of course, Wes's stuff, his breakdown over on VSiN.com, his picks will also be on the VSiN.com/picks page as well. For Kelly, I'm Matt. Good luck on all your Truist bets.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.